Friends, welcome back to Drawing Conversation. I am your dedicated nerd, host, and artist, Danny Fisher. And today we are drawing the origin and history of Judge Dredd. Let's get drawing. Now, before we get started, I just want to take a moment to thank you and tell you how much I appreciate you coming back. Now today we're talking about the man, the myth, the legend. We're talking about Judge Joseph Dredd. So what is it that has made Judge Dredd such an amazing character? Is it the weapons? The oversized armor? The setting? The perpetual grimace? Well, I like to think it's all of those things and more. And as you can tell, I've decided to give digital a shot. Yes, it's totally different, but I'm really enjoying the things you can do. It is so crazy fun. But leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Now, Judge Dredd was first published in 1977 in a bi-weekly British comic book called 2000 AD. Man, how far away did 2000 seem in the 70s? Anyway, the series follows the dark adventures of Judge Dredd, written by John Wagner, with art by Carlos Ezquerra. Dredd was to be a kind of a satire on Western culture, dealing with all kinds of issues from rampant mass surveillance, corrupt leaders, and widespread infections. The series takes place in a post-apocalyptic future where the overburdened judicial system is forced to invoke a type of instant justice, where law enforcement are known as judges, and they have the power to be judge, jury, and executioner. Humanity's population has grown so large that massive structures known as megacities have sprawled along enormous patches of the US. Well, actually, across enormous expanses of the planet, with gigantic city walls that contain armored buildings called city blocks. Now, these city blocks are so big, they can actually house up to 50,000 people. And these megacities, they are just that, mega cities. And Megacity 1 actually sprawls from New York all the way down to Florida. And outside these walls are radioactive expanses of land, known only as Cursed Earth, where life is so harsh that only mutants and scavengers barely survive. The main story of the comic book takes place in Megacity 1. And what we learn from the comic is that after a corrupt president triggers World War III, all humanity is driven into a panic, making the adoption of these harsh and overly strict street judges even more quickly implemented. After democracy fails in this fictional future, it is the Justice Department that becomes the ruling system and the Chief Justice at its head. And in this world, punishment is swift and severe, even for the smallest crimes, such as chewing gum or smoking outside of designated areas. What's important to know about Judge Dredd is that he is actually a clone. You see, crime is so out of control and can't train them fast enough. The cloning process is so advanced that judges are grown from test tube to street patrol in less than 5 years. In Dredd's case, he was cloned from a judge that was considered to be the best of all time, Chief Judge Eustace Fargo. Now, there is a long and convoluted story with Judge Fargo and his experience with Judge Dredd, but I wanted to focus this episode strictly on Dredd. Now, Judge Dredd is not only covered in what I always called justice armor, but he is armed with the Lawgiver. This is a standard side issue weapon that all judges have. And what makes this weapon so cool is it has the ability to fire multiple types of ammunition, from shotgun rounds, incendiary rounds, rapid fire assault style, armor piercing rounds, even flares. But the coolest part about this weapon is that it's only programmed to work and be recognized by the genetic palm print of the judge it's assigned to. Yeah, you pick this weapon up and you try to use it, and it's gonna end badly. And let me tell you, as a kid, when I went out and played war with my buddies, I used to always imagine that my gun could shoot all all types of different ammo, so when I first started reading Judge Dredd, I fell in love. Judge Dredd would not be complete without his flying motorcycle, called the Lawmaster. And it's equipped with an artificial intelligence. Yes, this bike can come lend a hand when you're in a bad spot. Kind of like a robot partner with like machine guns and frickin' lasers. He's also armed with standard issue kind of a Bowie knife, as well as handcuffs and a reinforced baton. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, judges have access to something called the TRI, the Total Relaxation Inducer. And what this can do is give a judge a full 8 hours of rest in less than 10 minutes. Yeah, they are so understaffed and so overworked, they have to do anything to keep these judges on the streets. And let me tell you, wish I had a total relaxation inducer. But even with all this, honestly, there was nothing cooler than the Lawgiver and the Lawmaster. You know what else would be cool? Hitting that subscribe button and the thumbs up. But really, it helps out this channel a lot. But even with all of these weapons, Judge Dredd is not invulnerable. In fact, that's what made Judge Dredd so much fun to read, is that he would get wounded and often lose battles, but he never lost the war. Now, something that was absolutely unique to Judge Dredd, I mean, something that no one else had done at the time, Judge Dredd aged in the comic book. That's right, unlike Spider-Man, Batman, he aged real time. So if it had been 2 years in the real world, the same was true for the character. Now, that's not to say that he hasn't undergone cellular rejuvenation. You know, to stay on the streets a little bit longer. But time still passes. And even one day, Dredd himself is going to have to put down the badge, the gun, and the helmet. Oh, speaking of the helmet, one of the most consistent things that readers could look forward to is that you never saw Judge Dredd's face. Never once. It's not that he didn't take off his helmet to eat, sleep, and so on, but you know, there was always a sensor bar, or it was the back of his head, or it was like a childhood flashback. And really, the creator John Wagner explained it best. It sums up the facelessness of justice. Justice has no soul, and it isn't necessary for the readers to see Dredd's face. And I don't want you to. And for me, at the end of the day, I just love the idea of the unseen face. I don't know, it just seems more fearsome and intimidating. Yet another reason why the 1995 film adaptation was a disaster. I mean, ooh, I've seen better film on teeth. Really, don't waste a minute of your life watching that. However, the 2012 remake with Carl Urban, now that's not just a good comic book movie. Honestly, that's just a great movie, period. Having said all that, the best part about Dredd is that piercing, relentless grimace that is plastered on his face. And he's the very definition of grit. The most exciting part about the comic book is you didn't know what to expect. I mean, threats came from street gangs, corrupt leaders, aliens, mutants, interdimensional undead villains, werewolves, dinosaurs. Heck, Judge Dredd has even fought xenomorphs, Batman, the Predator. But the one thing that has always remained the same is his dogged conviction to upholding the law. Friends, thank you again for watching. If you haven't already, do please hit that subscribe, turn on those notifications, and leave a comment. Let me know how I'm doing. And if you're feeling extra generous, go ahead and share this video to a friend who likes art or just Judge Dredd. But hey, thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon.